जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। प्रथमं सद्गुरुं वन्दे कृष्णं तदनन्तरं गुरुः पापात्मनां त्राता श्री कृष्णस्त्वमलात्मना ध्येयो सदा परिभवघ्नमभीष्ट दोहम् तीर्थास्पदं शिवविरिञ्चिनुतं शरण्यं भृत्यार्तिहं प्रणतपाल भवाब्धि पोतम् वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दम् नमः कमलना भाय नमः कमलमा विने नमः कमल पादाय। राधे 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 श्री राधे
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 राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे राधे
राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे मोहि दासी बना दे श्री राधे
मोहि दासी बना दे श्री राधे
राधे 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 राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे Shri Radhe,
Radhe 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 Shri Radhe,
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 Radhe 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 Shri Radhe,
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe Radhe Shri Radhe,
Radhe 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 Shri Radhe,
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 Radhe
Radhe
Radhe Radhe Shri Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Bhajo Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Bhajo Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Bhajo Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
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 Bhajo Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe,
Radhe Govind,
Govind Radhe.
बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की
जय
जय, रासेश्वरी राधा रानी की
जय।
जय, श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। Devoted listeners, now I request your full attention. Yesterday was the first day of the series, and the topic of the series is Science of Devotion. Yesterday we learned that although the scriptures tell us about three paths that can lead us to our ultimate destination, that is freedom from the bondage of Maya and attainment of God, but when we examine the three paths, we find that there is only one path that leads us to our final goal, and that is a path of devotion, the path of bhakti. There were 5 criteria that we looked at. If a path is valid, then it must fulfill these 5 criteria. It must meet these 5 criteria. I'll remind you: Anvay, Vyatirek, Anya Nirapekshata, Sarvatrakita, and Sanatanatva. Number 1, will this path lead me to God? Number 2, if I don't follow this path, will I attain God? Can I not reach my destination without following this path? Number 3, does this path need help of another path? Number 4, is this path for everyone or for a select few? And number 5, is this path Sanatan? Is it eternal? When we examined the three paths, then we found that only the path of devotion meets these 5 criteria. So now it has been established, we have understood clearly that path of bhakti is the only path. You see, if we don't figure out what the path is, then we, the travelers, we will waste a lot of time trying to find how to get to the destination. You're standing at the crossroads and you have your destination in mind, but you don't know the path. Sometimes you go towards the north, then you come back, you didn't find the building you were looking for. Then you go towards the south, you don't find it, you go to the east, someone says no, go to the west. And in doing this, the whole lifetime is spent and you have not come to a decision about the path. But our scriptures tell us that path of devotion is the only path. Now we can start walking on this path. But before we do that, we need to understand some more things about this path. The one who follows this path is protected completely by God. For a devotee, God even changes the laws of nature. We know about Prahlad, the child devotee, and we know also about his father, Hiranyakashipu, who was completely against Prahlad's devotion to Bhagwan. He said to Prahlad, "You must worship me, not Vishnu." Prahlad did not listen. So his father punished him by trying to kill him, but he could not. Ordinarily, if you push someone down a cliff, that person will die. But God changed the laws. Prahlad was pushed down the cliff. He fell into the water, into the ocean, but he was not killed. He was saved. If someone in boiling oil, that person will fry. That person will die. But the laws of nature changed and fire could not burn Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu tried every possible method but could not kill Prahlad because God had established himself within Prahlad's heart as his savior, as his protector. Finally, Holika said to her brother Hiranyakashipu, "Bhaiya, I shall help you. I have a boon that fire cannot harm me, fire cannot burn me. And I shall sit with my nephew in the midst of fire. He'll be burned and I will walk out completely unharmed." So when she did that, 2 things happened. She burned to death and Prahlad came out completely safe and sound. Prahlad was protected by God and God changed the law of nature. Fire burns, but fire became cooling for Prahlad. Holika was given a boon that fire could not burn her, but God took away that boon because she was using it for an evil purpose. When we are given a power, and if we misuse it, then God will take it away. And it is up to Him when He takes it away. It's up to Him, it's up to His discretion. But certainly He takes the power away if someone abuses it and misuses it. Holika is an example of that. There is a story told in the Vedas, and I'd like to share that with you. Once the Devtas in Swargalok, in the celestial abode, they became very proud of themselves because they have been given great powers. There is the god of wind, Vayu, there is a god of fire, Agni Dev. They became very proud of their powers because they had won the battle against the Asurs, the demons. They did not give credit to God, that God is the one who has helped them win the battle. So they became proud, and God is the destroyer of pride. So Bhagwan Shri Krishna went to Swargalok and He established Himself in the sky. And He went in the form of a very effulgent being. And everyone in Swargalok thought, who is this? The one who is even more effulgent, the one who has more shine than our own Indra, our own king. Who can this be? Indra also saw the effulgent being whose light was greater than the light of thousands of thought, who can this be? But he was too arrogant to go himself, so he sent Vayu, the god of wind. Vayu went to the effulgent being and asked, "Who are you?" The Supreme Lord asked Vayu, "Who are you that you are asking me this question? Who are you? What is your introduction?" Vayu said with so much arrogance, "Everyone knows who I am. I am Vayu. Don't you know who I am? I am Vayu. I am the wind." "Oh, acha. You are Vayu. But what do you do? What is your task?" It's like someone asking, what's your nature of work? What business are you in? So Bhagavan is asking Vayu, what do you do? Tasmin kim vidyam, what power do you have as such? Vayu said, "You don't know? I have so much power that I can blow everything away in countless universes." God said, "Well, don't blow everything away. Just blow this away." A tiny piece of dried up grass, a piece of straw. Vayu looked at that piece of straw and said, "This is what you want me to blow away?" He laughed at the challenge, but when he tried, he could not move that piece of straw, that dried up blade of grass. He couldn't move it because he himself could not move. How could he move anything else? What happened? God took away the power because God gave the power to Vayu. God took away the power and Vayu became completely still. He could not move. He went back to Indra and he said, "Maharaj, I was not able to find out who that effulgent being is." So Indra thought, Vayu has been careless. Let me send Agni, god of fire. Agni went and also asked, "Who are you?" And again Bhagavan asked Agni, "Who are you?" "Well, I am Agni. I am the god of fire." And Agni, "What do you do?" "I can burn countless universes." "Oh, Bapri, don't burn countless universes, just burn this." And again, Agni, just like Vayu, laughed at the challenge, but Agni became cold. Fire became cold. Imagine the energy called fire, it becomes cold because God took away the power of heat from Agni. Agni became cold and he also went back to Indra with his head down. His pride was destroyed. He said, "Maharaj, I could not find out who this effulgent being is." Finally, Indra went because everyone said, "Maharaj, you must go and find out." Indra went there, but Bhagavan said, "I will not give this one my darshan at all." So God disappeared. In his place, there was the goddess, Uma, Parvati was there. And Indra said, "Mother, who was that who was just here? Who was that?" And that the divine goddess, she said, "Indra, you don't realize who was here? That was your divine father. That was Bhagwan. He was here to destroy your pride because you have given the complete credit to yourself." So God can change the laws of nature. And for his devotees, he does that. Sometimes to destroy their pride, sometimes to give them protection. For whatever reason, God loves his devotees so much, the ones who are devoted to him, the ones who are practicing devotion, the ones who are completely devoted, he helps them, he protects them. Meera is another great devotee of Sri Krishna. She was given a cup of poison to drink. She drank it, but that poison turned into nectar, so she was not harmed in the least. God again changed the law of nature. The nature of poison is to kill, but poison could not kill her. So as I was saying yesterday, the devotee is like a kitten held in its mother's mouth. God protects the one who practices devotion. He protects the devotee. Name bhaktah pranashyati. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, it is my challenge that I will not, that my devotee cannot fall. He does not say name jnani pranashyati or name yogi pranashyati, name karmi pranashyati. That the one who follows the path of yoga or the one who follows the path of gyan or the one who follows the path of karma and dharma will never fall. I will always protect him. He only says, name bhaktah pranashyati. मेरे भक्त का कभी नाश नहीं होता. So, devotion is the only path that will lead us to our destination. Now, let's find out some more amazing facts, about devotion. Bhakti is in all the scriptures. All the scriptures, without exception, praise bhakti. Alodya sarva shastrani vicharya cha punah punah idamekam sunishpannam dhyeyo narayano harihi. This verse is coming from the Purans, from Linga Puran, Skanda Puran and Padma Puran. All three of these Purans have this verse in them. Bhagwan Vedavyas says, look, you humans, oh human beings, you don't need to read scriptures. Because even if you read them, how will you understand them? To understand the rules of grammar, Sanskrit grammar, it takes 12 years. 12 years to understand grammar, Sanskrit grammar. Then you'll start reading, and a whole lifetime will pass. And even if you're a very quick reader, what will you understand? You don't need to do all that. I can tell you that I have gone over the scriptures, the Vedas and Vedic scriptures in my mind again and again, punah, punah. Vicharya cha punah punah. I have thought about the scriptural teachings again and again. And I have come to the conclusion that all the scriptures, all that they're saying is this. Dhyeyo narayano harihi. O humans, worship God. Love God. Bhagwan se pyar karo. Surrender to God. Bhagwan ki sharan mein jao. That is the one and only essence of the Vedas and Vedic scriptures. That's all you need to know. Who is Vedavyas? He is an avatar of God. He is God himself who came to earth. And he is saying this. Again, the Bhagavad Puran says, Bhagavan Brahma Kartsnena Triranviksha Manishaya Tadadhyavasyat Kutasthorathiratmanyato Bhavet. This verse from the Bhagavad says, and the creator Brahma is saying this, I, Brahma, I have churned the Vedas, I've read them, churned them in my mind 3 times. Triranviksha Manishaya. And all that the Vedas and Vedic scriptures are saying is that you should love God. This is Brahma talking. Bhagavan Brahma Kartsnena Triranviksha Manishaya. So Brahma is saying this. Brahma who creates everything out of nothing. Tasmadva etasmadatmana akashah sambhutah akashad vayuh vayuragnihi agnerapah adbhyah prithvi prithivya aushadhayah aushadhibhyonnam sava esha rasamayah. Taittiriya Upanishad. First, there is nothing. In the beginning of the creation period, there is nothing. Nothing exists. So Brahmaji does not have any building blocks that I will create using these building blocks. There's nothing. Whenever we humans build something, we have the raw ingredients. Let's say you want to make a cup of tea. You have to have a tea bag. You have to have tea bags, you have to have water, you have to have sugar, milk, whatever you want to put in your tea. At least you need tea bags and water, and you need fire. Then you make tea. You cannot say, I made this tea, meaning I made it without any raw ingredients. I made it without anything. There was nothing and I made tea. No, you made it with certain ingredients. So whenever we humans make something, we make it out of something. But Brahmaji, please pay attention, Brahmaji makes everything out of nothing. So there was nothing, and he created space. From space, air. From air, fire. From fire, water. From water, earth. So the 5 elements. And then everything else that exists comes from these 5 elements. That Brahma is saying, I have gone over the scriptures, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and I can tell you that all the scriptures talk only about loving God, only about practicing devotion to God. So why should we go here and there searching for my path? Everyone's path is the same. Once a devotee requested me to go to Sri Maharajji's room in Mangar, in our main ashram, Bhakti Dham, because she didn't speak Hindi, and she had a question for Sri Maharajji. And she asked, Maharajji, what is my path? Which is my path? Sri Maharajji looked at her with confusion and said, what do you mean your path? Everyone's path is the same. Everyone's path is the same. It is bhakti. The scriptures say so. God says so. The eternal Vedas say, Dhanurgrihitva Panishadam Mahastro. The Bhagavad Puran says, Sharam Hyupasa Nishidam Sandhayit Ayamya tad bhavagatena chetasa laksham tadevaksharam brahma saumya. Mundakopanishad. This mantra says, take aim, O humans, take aim at fixing your mind on God by using the bow of Upanishads and the arrow of devotion. The eternal Vedas tell us this. Then we have, after the Vedas and Upanishads, we have the Purans, the 18 Purans. In the Bhagavad, Lord Krishna says, I can be attained only through bhakti. Bhaktya hame kaya grahya shraddhayatma priya satam. I can only be grasped through devotion. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna says the same in different words. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna gyatum drashtum cha tattvena praveshtum cha parantap. Chapter 11, verse 54. O Arjun, whether you wish to gyatum, know me, or drashtum, have my darshan, see me, or praveshtum, merge within me. Whether you wish to know me, have my darshan, or merge within me, no matter what it is that you want, you must practice ananya bhakti, exclusive devotion unto me. This is the Bhagavad Gita. And then the Ramayana also says the same. That bhakti is the only path. Sadhak siddh vimukt udasi kavi kovid kritagya sannyasi jogi sur sutapas jnani dharma nirat pandit vigyani taraina binuse mam swami ram namami namami namami. For everyone, there is only one instruction, and that is worship Bhagwan Sri Ram. Worship God. Ram namami, namami, namami. Without that, you cannot. Without devotion, you cannot cross Bhavsagar, the ocean of Maya, the frightening ocean of Maya. You cannot see where it ends. That vast ocean, the endless ocean of Maya, cannot be crossed without taking the boat of devotion. That boat which is steered by the Guru and which is propelled by the favorable wind of God's grace. That boat is a boat of devotion. Without going on this boat, no one can cross the ocean of Maya. You will drown without it. The Ramayana therefore also says that devotion is the only path, and to practice devotion. So all the scriptures talk about devotion. That means devotion is in all the scriptures. There is devotion. Devotion will accept all the people, everyone. We've talked about this already. पुरुष नपुंसक नारी वा जीव चराचर कोय. It can be anyone, male, female, eunuch, it can be anyone, and it could be, and devotion is in everyone also, meaning that devotion can be practiced by the sadachari as well as the durachari. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak. The Bhagavad Gita tells us. Shri Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita that it can be apichet suduracharo. Durachari means a sinner. Sudurachari means a great sinner. Not just a sinner, but a very serious sinner. Like Ratnakar, he was a dacoit as well as a murderer. He used to attack people who were passing through the forest, to the jungle, and he would kill them and he would take their money, and that's how he supported his family. He was a murderer. He had committed many, many murders, but one day when he came to his senses because of Narad Muni's intervention, he became a devotee. Narad Muni says the repentance for your sins is that you chant Ram, 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 Ram. Ratnakar Daku could not utter the name of Ram, not because he had a speech impediment that prevented him from saying Ra and Ma, but because his sins were too many and God was not allowing him to take his pious name. But that sinner of great proportions, that Ratnakar Daku, he became a great devotee because devotion accepts everyone. Not only the virtuous ones, but the highly sinful ones. Everyone is welcome to practice devotion. Devotion welcomes one and all. It does not discriminate. Devotion can be performed with anything, with any ingredient. Patreshu pushpeshu phaleshu toyeshvakrit labhye tu sadaiva satsu bhaktya sulabhye purushe purane muktau kimartham kriyate prayatnah. Nrsimha Puran. The same message as the message of the Gita. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakta yuprita mashnami prayatatmana. In the 9th chapter, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Arjun, If you offer me, you can offer me a flower, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, even water. With devotion, I shall accept it. So Nrsimha Puran, the verse that I recited before, the Gita verse, it says, why would you leave that supremely merciful Lord who is so simple that he will accept even water if you offer it to him? You offer water to him, he will accept it, granted that you have offered it with devotion. Why are you seeking shelter somewhere else, here, there? Bhatak kyun rahe ho idhar udhar? Why are you wandering around here and there? Why not surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord who accepts anything that you give him with devotion? Vidurani offered him banana peels and he accepted them. Bhagwan Shri Krishna paid a surprise visit to Vidur's house. Vidurji was not home, but Vidurani was. When she saw Shri Krishna standing at the door, she didn't know what to do, what to say. She lost her mind. She was happy with happiness. She did not know what to do. She started dancing. Without inviting him in, she just started to dance with joy. She had never experienced this happiness before. And after some time, when she came to her senses a little bit, she said, oh my goodness, what am I doing? She invited her Lord inside the house. She made him sit in a very comfortable place. And then she sat at his lotus feet and she washed his lotus feet with her tears. She didn't think, oh, the water of my eyes, these tears of mine, they're dirty. This is dirty water. I should wash his lotus feet with clean water. She did not think about all that because she was so overwhelmed with love, with devotion. Shri Krishna did not mind at all. He was very happy with her devotion. He accepted whatever she was giving him. Then after some time she thought, oh, I should offer my Lord something to eat. What am I thinking? I'm not thinking straight. What's going on with me? I'm not thinking straight. She rushed to the kitchen and she forgot how to cook. She forgot everything. When Shri Maharaji visited many countries in 2005 and 2007, I remember a devotee whose house Shri Maharaji visited, and she did not offer him anything. And I'm nudging her, bring the fruits, whatever you've cut, this. And she didn't know, she just kept looking at me. Finally, others had to go in and get whatever was there, but all the delicacies she had cooked, they weren't even there. Later on, I asked her, what was going on? She said, I don't know, I just couldn't think. And I said, what happened to everything besides the fruits that somebody had to cut and then present to Shri Maharaji? What happened to all the delicacies? She said, some other people came before Maharaji and they ate them. And I asked, why didn't you stop them? She said, I don't know. She completely lost her mind because of love. Love. Shri Maharaji just smiled at her all the time. That love, the power of love, that is what God loves. And the saint is just like God, he loves love. Shri Maharaji used to tell us many stories, and there was one story of a group of people who were very highly qualified people. They were lawyers of great esteem, and they were Supreme Court judges in Allahabad. And they would listen to Shri Maharaji's lectures and really appreciate them. So Shri Maharaji was sitting in their midst and they were asking questions, Maharaji was answering. And then the host family, the host, husband and wife. So the husband was a Supreme Court, High Court judge. The wife was illiterate. And while all these intellectual discussions are going on, in the midst of all this, the host's wife, she said, महाराज जी जब आप यहाँ नहीं होते हम आपको बहुत याद करते हैं. Maharaj ji, when you're not here, I miss you so much. And everybody looked at this woman, and Maharaj ji said, I could see the love in her heart, that all these intellectual questions are being asked, and she's so full of love, she said, I miss you so much when you're not here. So Lord Krishna was given banana peels. I should go back to the story. Vidurani stopped, she forgot how to cook. She saw some bananas. I mean, it was not like mangoes, those are more expensive fruits. She saw bananas, which are the cheapest fruits. She took them, she didn't know what she was doing, and she started peeling one for Sri Krishna. She peeled it, but all the while her gaze was on her Lord. And she peeled the fruit, and she didn't know that the fruit fell on the ground, and she's offering him banana peels. She's saying, Maharaj, please eat this. And he's not saying, you foolish woman, what are you giving me? Banana peels? How dare you? He just ate them. He ate banana peels. And to him, these banana peels were extremely tasty. They were very delicious. He was thinking, I have never eaten any food more delicious than this. Why? Because the main ingredient that he looks for is love. That's why when we offer bhog to Bhagwan, it should be cooked with love, and it is cooked with love. When we offer the bhog, when we offer food to God, he eats the love that's in there, then he leaves the food for us. That becomes prasad, his grace. The main ingredient always is love. Have you put love in it? He asks. So he accepted the banana peels of Vidurani. So he accepts anything that is given with love. Sadhana was a butcher, and he didn't know any better. He just lovingly offered meat, flesh to Bhagwan Shri Krishna, and Bhagwan Shri Krishna accepted it. We are not to do that, because if we do that, we know, oh, we are doing something wrong. Sadhana Kasai was so full of love, his heart was so filled with love that he didn't know what he was doing. But if we do the same, that is an offense. Unless we get to that level where sadhana is, then we can offer anything. Like Shabri is offering the fruits, wild fruits, that she has first tasted for herself. If we do that, that is wrong. But she is at that level where it's not wrong. She does not know what she is doing. She has no consciousness of what she is doing. Like the Vanar Sena during the exile period of Bhagwan Sri Ram. The monkeys, the devotee monkeys, are sitting on the branches of the tree, and they know fully well that their Lord is sitting under the tree. But if we do the same, oh, I'm going to sit on my Guru's head, or above him, no, I'm going to sit on the head of Sri Krishna, that would be wrong, because we know what we are doing. But if we are so full of love that we have no idea what we are doing, then it is perfectly acceptable. So bhakti sab dravyon se hoti hai. You can practice devotion with any material whatsoever. The people who worship the devtas in Swargalok, those devtas, they find out that the devtas are very picky and choosy. This one you offer white cloth, and this one will say, how dare you? You always offer me red cloth, never white. You offer this one, this thing, and that one, completely different thing. You cannot just use your liberties. You cannot use your freedom. There's no freedom there. But with Bhagwan, there is complete freedom to offer him anything. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. Devotion can be performed at any time. In the morning, yes. At night, yes. Midnight, In the afternoon, yes. Evening time, yes. Early evening, late evening, yes. Anytime. Na desha niyamastasmin na kala niyamastatha. Padma Puran says this. There's no hard and fast rule about the time when you practice devotion. Devotion can be done anytime. Anytime. The scriptures do suggest to us that it should be done early in the morning, but that is for practical reasons. Because we are beginners, we are practitioners of devotion, we have not become experts in devotion. So, we should take the hint from scriptures, and scriptures tell us to practice devotion in the morning because at that time no one is making demands on our time, and there are pure vibrations in the atmosphere that help us greatly. We are greatly helped by pure vibrations. We have not gone beyond that. So we are helped by those pure vibrations. And there are no sounds early in the morning that will distract us. So for these practical reasons, scriptures and saints tell us that we should wake up early in the morning and practice devotion. That's just a good thing to do. But we should not use the excuse that I just cannot get up in the morning and I guess I cannot practice devotion. No, what time do you prefer? Any time is a good time. Any place is a good time. You can practice devotion in the cemetery, in the cremation ground, anywhere and everywhere. You cannot do a yajna to appease the devtas in Swargalok just anywhere. It should be a place where no sin has ever been committed. You have to purify that place. Nothing like this for devotion. Any place is good. One of the a very pure-hearted and simple-hearted devotee of God, he was taking the name of God even when he went to the toilet. He would always chant, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And some people heard him and they scolded him. They said, this is not right. You go to the toilet, such a dirty place, and you're taking the name of God? You're committing a sin. Don't do that. He said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was a sin. They said, absolutely. You don't know the scriptures. You don't know anything. You're illiterate, so you don't know. But you don't take the name of God in the toilet. So he stopped, but he couldn't stop. Because he was so accustomed to taking the name of God that without realizing it, he would again say, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. So he started to hold on to his tongue with one hand. Or he would put a cloth over his mouth. And people found that out too. And there are a lot of supervisors in the world. We supervise others. You're doing this wrong. This is not right. ये ठीक नहीं है, ठीक करो अपने आप को. Rather than supervising ourselves, we are supervising others. Now, of course, parents must supervise their children. There is necessary supervising, but even when we don't need to, we are supervising others. So all these supervisors, they complained to his guru, who was Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and they said, Maharaj ji, this man takes the name of God in the toilet. Imagine. They thought that Mahaprabhu ji would scold this man, but Mahaprabhu ji spoke to this man. He said, Beta, do you take the name of God in the toilet too? He said, yes, Mahaprabhu ji. Yes, Maharaj ji, I did, but I found out, these people told me that I was wrong to do so, so now I tie a cloth over my mouth. And Mahaprabhu ji said, why? Because it's wrong, they told me. No, they are wrong. You can take the name of God anywhere and everywhere. You just go ahead and take the name of God. Doesn't matter where it is, what place that is, because God is already there. Shri Krishna is everywhere. Prabhu Vyapak Sarvatra Samana. God is omnipresent. He is everywhere. But I don't think there are too many people in the world who would feel comfortable hanging a picture of God in their bathroom. They would have to be very, very mature devotees, the ones who have the audacity to do that, who would have the courage to do that. They would be, at the very least, they'll be afraid of criticism. Some guest will come and then I'll be taken to task. So chalo chodo. Forget it. But I have seen some devotees who would put a picture of God in the bathroom. There's nothing wrong with it. God is everywhere. The Guru explains to the disciple, in this case Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who is Lord himself, he explained to this man, he said that God, you cannot defile God. Just because you're thinking of God in a dirty place, it doesn't mean that God has become impure. No. God is like the sun, the rays of the sun. These rays of the sun fall upon the ground and they fall upon pure objects and impure objects, but they purify everything. They don't become impure themselves. And God is like the Ganga, the dirty water of the canals and ditches and small rivers. They all merge within the Ganga and they all become Ganga. Ganga does not become the dirty canal, but the dirty canal water becomes the holy water of the Ganga. So you cannot defile God. Mahaprabhuji explained to this man. So you don't have to put a cloth over your mouth, you don't have to hold on to your tongue. You just go ahead and utter the name of God everywhere. You see how easy it is to practice devotion? You can practice it anywhere, with anything. No restrictions. No restrictions whatsoever. You can practice it in any place, at any time, with any ingredient. And you don't have to wonder, am I eligible for this path? I'm not educated, or I'm highly educated. A lot of people think I am a very highly educated person, so devotion is not for me because I am an intellectual. And I would like to clear up that misconception. A lot of people say, I'm in the path of Gyan, I'm in the path of knowledge. And devotion, the path of devotion, is not about knowledge, it's all about love. And I'm an intellectual, I want knowledge. Well, the highly knowledgeable one practices devotion. Consider this. To be able to start on the path of devotion, you have to have so much knowledge. So Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj, Sri Maharaj Ji, he was known as and accepted as the fifth Jagadguru of Kali Yuga, in Kali Yuga. And not only Jagadguru, but Jagadguru Tam. You hear me saying that sometimes. Sometimes I say Jagadguru, sometimes Jagadguru Tam. So the 500 Pandits, scholars, true scholars of scriptures, accepted him not only as Jagadguru, fifth Jagadguru, but Jagadguru Tam. Meaning that you are the best of all the Jagadgurus who have come so far. Because you excel in devotion as well as knowledge, in both. So Sri Maharaj Ji, who was, we lovingly refer to him as an encyclopedia of scriptures, and he would laugh at that. And he would be called a computer Jagadguru because it seemed like his mind was like a computer. He had complete knowledge, unlimited knowledge, but he cried for Shri Krishna. He taught us, he taught the world how to practice devotion. Tears were rolling down his eyes. He would experience all this, the symptoms of divine love. All the symptoms of divine love, such as tremors, paleness of skin, the complexion would become pale. There was a change in voice. Once when Sri Maharaj Ji went to Navadvip, and there he chanted Hari Hari Bol, none of us recognized that voice. That voice was different. It was a voice we never heard before and we did not hear later. His voice changes. The voice changes. So there are many symptoms of divine love. And Sri Maharaj Ji, when he was chanting, he was experiencing all those symptoms. And the biggest symptom, the ultimate symptom is unconsciousness. He would fall to the ground unconscious. I've seen this with my very eyes, that Sri Maharaj Ji was sitting on his seat and then the kirtan was going on and all of a sudden he would rise from his seat like this and then he would sing in a very different voice. Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. And his eyes would be closed, and there was such pain in the voice, that I had never heard that kind of pain. And he would get up, and then he would start to dance, and he would dance so beautifully, it would look like there was no bone in his body. And then I was very new, and I saw the male devotees form a large circle around him, and I wondered why. Sri Maharaji danced inside that circle, and I had never seen that dance. It was so beautiful. And then all of a sudden, Sri Maharaji fell, and there was a loud gasp. And then Maharaji got up. All of a sudden, he didn't experience any pain from falling on the ground, hard ground. He was in a state of ecstasy. He was in a state of divine love, bhav, divya bhav. At that time, can you tell that he's the greatest scholar ever? That all the greatest scholars have accepted defeat before him? He's so intellectual. But at the end of the day, he's a devotee. He loves God. He teaches others how to love God. He sheds tears of love. And when Sri Maharaji used to shed tears, you'd have to have a stone heart not to shed tears looking at him crying for Radha and Krishna. You see, a saint hides his love for God because he doesn't want to show anyone his greatness. So gopaniyam, gopaniyam, gopaniyam prayatnataha. You must try to hide your love so that it doesn't become a spectacle. But there are times when he cannot hide his love, because when the love becomes too intense, it's like steam building in a pressure cooker. Eventually it has to come out, and there's a whooshing sound. When there's so much steam, now it has to come out. And anyone who knows how pressure cooker works, you have cooked in the kitchen or you've seen it, there's a whoosh, loud whooshing sound, steam is coming out. In the same way, that love that is hidden within, it comes out with great force. And then everyone can see that. Everyone can see that. In the Bhagavad, Lord Krishna says that the devotee who sometimes sings with full abandon, and sometimes he breaks out and starts to dance. Sometimes he cries and sometimes he laughs like a madman. He is in a state of divine bhav, and he purifies the entire earth by his mere presence. So there is a misconception that for the intellectual ones, there is a path of jnana. People do not know what the path of jnana is all about. The path of jnana is so difficult to qualify for that you have to first become, and I was mentioning this before yesterday, that you have to be completely free of all worldly attachments to follow this path. You have to have your body, your senses under your control, and your mind under your control before you can even listen to the lecture on Brahma, Brahmopadesh. When do you qualify to listen to that Upadesh, that teaching? Athato Brahma Jigyasa, Brahma Sutra. That first you qualify, then you go ahead and listen. Otherwise you're not eligible. So it's a misconception that if you're a devotee, you're the emotional type. You're not at all intellectual. But that is the complete opposite. In order to practice devotion, you have to have a lot of knowledge. The knowledge that Guru gives, you don't have to read scriptures. The knowledge that Guru will give you. And the Guru gives only as much knowledge as one needs. Otherwise, too much knowledge and the person cannot digest it, and then he gets indigestion. So much knowledge is not necessary. All the knowledge of the Vedas is not necessary for us. Only the knowledge that makes us fall in love with Sri Krishna, that knowledge is necessary. Then the Guru gives background information. Why should I love Sri Krishna? The Guru says, love Sri Krishna. But why? The Guru explains, this is why. You are the Atma, you're not the body, you are the Atma. The Atma has only one relative, that is Paramatma, Sri Krishna. And only Sri Krishna can give you what you want, what you need, what you have been hungry and thirsty for. So after explaining so much from the scriptures, by giving so many quotations from scriptures, in just one lecture of Sri Maharaji, lasting maybe 1 hour, sometimes it lasted, the minimum amount would be 45 minutes, and then it would be mostly 1 hour, and sometimes Maharaji has spoken for 2-3 hours at a stretch. But his record was 8 hours at a stretch. 8 hours without drinking water, without clearing the throat. 8 hours at a stretch with eyes closed. So, it's a misconception that, that you don't need, that you're the emotional type and you're not intellectual. The Guru gives knowledge, and he gives as much knowledge as is necessary for you to fall in love with God. He gives lots of background knowledge, so he would not just say, okay, now just love God, chant the name of God, go ahead and shed tears. But how do I do this? All that background information, knowledge is given. And then we practice devotion, and there is so much facility in devotion that's not in any other path. And all that we can get from any other path is given very easily by the path of devotion. This inspires us to practice devotion. So from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to talk about the practice of devotion. Of course, the theory will be there as well, but I will speak further on the path of devotion. And then, of course, in the remaining 3 days, I will speak about not only the theory, but also the practice of devotion. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Are there any questions today about what was said today? Yes? Shailaja? If you could please take a mic, then everyone can hear you.
Radhe Radhe Didi.
Radhe Radhe.
So one question is around when you said we cannot defile God. I come across situations where we serve prasadam to people and then they might either throw it or they might mix it with some other food like maybe meat or something. Is that allowed, or should we not give such people prasad? How do we, or I would like to know how to approach that.
All right. So if you give prasad and that person mixes it with non-vegetarian food, it should be given. It should be given to everyone. And sometimes when you know that the person taking the prasad is going to take a little bit, and then just give even a little bit of it. For instance, children, they need a little bit, or they might keep it here and there. So I believe in giving just a little bit, but it would not be sinful to give a person who is going to throw it or mix it with something else. It's not sinful, but it's not sinful to the giver who's giving it. But at the same time, just a little bit should be given so that there's no chance of that person throwing it. Because sometimes I notice, whether it's in the temple or in the satsang, you see little raisins and almonds sitting there on the ledge, on the shoe rack. It's everywhere. So I thought, no, a little bit should be given. So we should use our discretion. But other than that, yes, it should be given to everyone, and that's not sinful at all.
Thank you, Didi. One more question, Didi.
Absolutely.
So I have heard this many times. We should hide our love, but
On the mic.
I have heard many times that we should hide our love. We should not disclose our love for the Lord. We should try as much, right? But that is for me personally. It's hard for me to be too kind of personality. I am what I am, kind of. So then hiding my emotions or my feelings is hard. So is that it feels it becomes detrimental to me because I'm very consciously aware that I should not express myself or I should not show my emotions. So I should not get deep into Rup Dhyan or anything. So how do I balance this?
All right. Absolutely, you don't have to. You should not let that hinder your deep devotion. No, it just when it's said that you hide your devotion, that means sometimes you feel really good when you practice devotion, and let's say there's a woman and she's feeling really good during kirtan, and she starts to scream, "Oh Krishna!" like that. Like, don't do that. And I know you don't do that. Nobody here does that. But then it becomes a distraction for everyone. And then everybody starts thinking, oh my goodness, she's a gopi. She's Mirabai. Or, somebody just starts dancing out of the blue. And then it distracts everyone. And Sri Maharaj was once noticed in our sadhana hall that a woman came, and then she started to dance. And then it was distracting to everyone else. Nobody was dancing. And so Maharaj said, "Piche jao, piche." Go back. There was a woman and she would scream. I mean, of course, involuntarily, but Shri Maharaj said, no, control it. So that kind of control. But, you are shedding tears, it's fine. Nobody else knows because everybody should have their eyes closed. So nobody will know. But no, go by all means. Don't let that hinder you from going into devotion, saying, oh, I think people will see me. No, not like that at all. It's just that when it becomes a public spectacle, when people start saying, Dekho, how he's dancing, he's like Surdas, Maharaji would say, dance only when your feet will not allow you to sit still. And then, and he would have devotees dancing. But if serious satsang is going on and somebody comes and starts dancing in the middle, Maharaji would say, but piche jao, go back. So, and our intent, what is our intent? It is my intention to show people how devoted I am. I'm crying and looking, look at me. No, that's not my intention. That's okay. So, you shed tears and you do it so that nobody notices without making that noise, because it does happen that somebody goes to the mandir and somebody comes to satsang and they feel really good and they feel the grace of God and Guru and they feel, oh my goodness, and I'm feeling so good, and starts to does not control their emotion. They don't control their emotions, and all of a sudden, pure mandir mein halla, okay? The whole satsang, there's a big chaos. And people are saying, and people start bowing down to this person. And I've seen this. And I said, what are you bowing down to? Stop it. Don't bow down. Bow down there to God. Don't bow down to someone who is just temporarily, fine, that's good, but don't do that. So, oh my God, this one looks like Mahaprabhuji. Look, her hair is so long, flowing, and Hari, Hari, bol. Oh, that's Mahaprabhuji come back. No, it's not. It's a sadhak. Stop it. So it's very easy for people to just get carried away, like, oh my God. Now, this person in the mandir, she's, screaming like Krishna's name and Hari Hari Bol. And then she goes home and she yells at her husband and beats her children. And there's so much anger. And, kabhi bhav mein, kabhi tav mein. That doesn't make sense. So bhav is that which is always there. And, it's a full system, not just a part-time sort of thing. I'm feeling good right now. And then going home from the satsang, scolding this one. How dare you do this to me? How dare you speak to me like this? How dare you ignore me? That's no bhav. And so, we should know, Maharaji kehte the, apni haisiyat ko pehchane rakho. Know what you're all about. And don't make a public display of your inner devotional feelings. But you should go ahead and by all means go deeply into devotion. You're not going to distract anyone. And you're not intending to let everybody know how devoted you are. But no, that's absolutely fine. Yes, Neil, I was going to ask you that if you have a question.
Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe.
So just kind of combining yesterday's and today's, just a quick question. So basically, when you mentioned knowledge of self, and you gave that one example yesterday with
Jad Bharat?
Yeah, well, I don't, no, not the deer one, but I think the one where you said that when you reach that level, if somebody insults you, I think you said, then they won't
Yes.
be rattled. They know who they really are.
Yes.
So if you combine the two because in this day and age, and you also mentioned with like mental health issues, all these distractions, and even just being able to sit
Yes.
and do like Rup Dhyan, and you're just totally engaged, like these examples you're giving. And maybe on a good day you can do it, but like if you have so many curveballs coming at you and of life,
Yes.
and in the beginning, a lot of people have a lot of things going on, and to get that focus, I guess my question is does knowledge of self combined with devotion kind of really powerful, because then you really know who you are and then you can surrender to God?
Yes.
Where if you come in without knowing who you are, and if you think you're the body, somebody just taps you on the shoulder and insults you, then all of a sudden it takes you out of your devotion.
I understand your question.
Okay.
Good question. You see, first of all, the Jnani, to get that knowledge that I am the Atma, it takes thousands and thousands of births. And he falls down, then he picks himself up again. It's very difficult to get to that level. With devotion, you don't have to try separately to get that knowledge of the self. The fact that you are practicing devotion is already helping you gain that understanding that I am the soul. So remember I was saying that every other path, whatever it can give you, devotion will give you without you having to do some separate sadhana. So just the fact that you are practicing devotion, you are gradually learning that you are the soul and not the body. So you don't have to do any make separate efforts. And that's the beauty of devotion. कि कोई अलग से साधना नहीं करनी पड़ेगी जिससे मुझे ये मालूम हो जाए कि मैं आत्मा हूँ. No need to do separate sadhana to find out, to realize that I am the Atma. Devotion itself will give you that realization, which is a really good thing. Any other question? Yes. Oh, that's fine. Just yell it out.
Didi, just simple question. You mentioned, we always used to believe that prasad Bhagwan ko chakhe bina dena chahiye. RMS mein, I have heard chakhe de sakte. So sometimes, so I try it, and then it's like little bit. Sometimes अभी बहुत अच्छा हो गया, but then भगवान खाए के पहले हम लोग ने, we have enjoyed how nice it is, or we make it better because sugar.
It has less salt or too much salt.
All that stuff. We do all that manipulation.
Yes. So is it right or wrong?
Yeah. It's like sometimes it's conflicting in our mind.
So the question is that we are taught never to taste the bhog when it's offered as bhog. First let God taste it, and so sometimes in our satsang you're told go ahead and taste it. So the intention is what matters. Why are you tasting it? You're tasting it so that you may give the best to God. So the intention is right, therefore it's not wrong. So if someone says I don't like to taste it before I offer it, that's good, that's fine. And another person says I do like to taste it first because I want to give God the best, you're okay too. So that's fine. Either way is fine. Because your intention is good. Your intention is devotional. You want to give the best to God. You want to make sure it's proper. That's why. Can someone turn that fan off? Any other questions? Yes.
So there are stories that
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
So question is like you told some of the stories around Krishna is not looking at the food that is offered to him, and he accepts the devotion and the love.
Yes.
So there are stories like, as you mentioned, that Kasai, like the butcher, is
Butcher.
offering the meat.
Yes.
And also I heard also from the Ramayana that Ram is also a Kshatriya and he's allowed to eat meat and all the stuff. But don't you think that is also encouraging people to continue eating meat?
You mean the Ramayana?
No, the people
Reading
use
it.
that as an excuse to continue to their
It definitely
activities.
should not be used as an excuse. I read somewhere that Prabhupada ji was asked, Bhagwan Ram eats meat. He used to eat meat. The answer was great. He said, he's God. He can eat the whole world. He can eat whatever he wants.
Right.
But we are not God. So when the distinction is made that when Bhagwan says, do what I say, don't do what I do, that's because his level is infinitely higher than ours. We are so small and so fallen, and he is the Lord of countless universes. So the laws that he has set for us don't apply to him. And so when the understanding is given that you don't do what God is doing, and yet we must give those examples and then explain why this would be wrong for a human, why that is right for God. Because if those examples are hidden and they're not revealed, then people will say, well, God did this wrong, God did this wrong, he did that wrong. But it must be explained that his works are divine works, ours are material works. So that this understanding is given to the person. So it's not wrong to give those examples. And it should not be, it should not confuse anyone, because then it's also explained to everyone that there's a difference between what we do and what he does, and even between what we do and what a God-realized soul does. It's very clear when you read certain stories of certain saints, and I'm hesitant to say this, but I'll say it because I won't name any name of a saint, but he is cooking for his devotees, and this is a God-realized soul, and he is cooking chicken for them. And a person does a double take, what? But he has gone beyond, or he's smoking. And you think, that's not a saint. But you have to go really deeply into it. Who is a saint? He has gone beyond the Annamaya Kosh, the food sheath, and nothing affects him. And there's no sin for him, there's no virtue for him. He's gone beyond virtue and sin. I would not give those stories. I would not tell those stories willingly, but I'm telling over here because there are different rules for different people. For those who are controlled by Maya, there are strict rules because we want to go above and beyond Maya. I'll give you a small example, another example. Someone said to me, Shri Maharaj comes into the sadhana hall with his chappals on, he doesn't remove his chappal. And I thought in all these years, I didn't notice that. You noticed it the first time you came here. Chappal. And so my answer was, he doesn't have to remove his shoes. He is God realized. He is a teacher. The teacher doesn't have to follow the rules that he tells the students to follow. Parents don't follow the rules that they tell their children to follow. And so there are different rules for different people according to that. But yes, so it would not be confusing, but you have to choose your context, and those people there who are being told this should also know, no, this is not right for me, it's right for them, right for God and godly saints. Now, once Adi Shankaracharya, who was Bhagwan Shankar himself, he graced this earth like 2,500 years ago, and he would say, Shivoham, I am Shiv, which is the truth. Now, one of his disciples started saying Shivoham, Shivoham. So Adi Shankaracharya thought, this fool is also copying me, and he's saying Shivoham. So he said, then they were walking, the disciple following behind the guru, and they came upon a foundry where they melt iron. And Adi Shankaracharya went inside, took some molten iron and drank it. Then he said to the disciple, now your turn. He said, Acharya, Shri, I cannot drink this, I'll die. Then he said, well, then you have no business saying Shivoham, Shivoham. That's not your level, you cannot say that. So otherwise you do what I do. People say, oh, I drink bhang, I imbibe bhang because Lord Shankar drinks it. Oh, really? Well, Maharaj used to say he drinks poison too. So he takes some poison as well. If you're going to copy, go ahead, copy it altogether.
Yeah, thank you, Siddheshvari.
Welcome. Let's offer bhog. अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया, आओ आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया।
अपना और तरसाओ रसिया, आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया।
यद्यपि यह सच है नहीं तुम कहाँ,
यद्यपि यह सच है नहीं तुम कहाँ।
भूख प्यास लागती रसिया,
भूख प्यास लागती रसिया।
भूख प्यास लागती रसिया।
भूख प्यास लागती रसिया।
तदपि भाव वश ब्रज छछिया, लगी चोरी करत फिर्यो रसिया।
तदपि भाव बस
Louder chorus, please.
रसिया, लगे चोरी करत फिर्यो रसिया।
भाव भरा केले का छिलका,
भाव भरा खेले का छिलका।
विदुरानी घर खायो रसिया।
विदुरानी घर खायो रसिया।
भावहीन दुर्योधन व्यंजन, नहीं टुक मन भायो रसिया।
भावहीन दुर्योधन व्यंजन, नहीं टुक मन भायो रसिया।
अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया, आओ आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया।
अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया, आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया।
जो रस शबरी के झूठे मुख,
जो रस शबरी के झूठे मुख।
बेर खाए पायो रसिया।
बेर खाए पायो रसिया।
बेर खाए पायो रसिया।
बेर खाए पायो रसिया।
जनकपुरी के राज भोग महा, सोरस नहीं पायो रसिया।
जनकपुरी के राज भोग महा, सोरस नहीं पायो रसिया।
हाँ मानत हो भावहीन हो,
मानत हो भावहीन हो।
पैसनो खरी खरी रसिया।
पैसनो खरी खरी रसिया।
पैसनो खरी खरी रसिया।
पैसनो खरी खरी रसिया।
सत कृपालु पय पियो पूत नहीं, याते अब आ जाओ रसिया।
सत कृपालु पय पियो पूत नहीं, याते अब आ जाओ रसिया।
रसिया हो रसिया मेरे मन बसिया।
रसिया हो रसिया मेरे मन बसिया।
रसिया हो रसिया
मेरे मन बसिया।
रसिया हो रसिया
मेरे मन बसिया।
रसिया हो रसिया
मेरे मन बसिया।
अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया।
अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया।
अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया। आओ आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया।
अब ना और तरसाओ रसिया। आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया।
आओ आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया।
आओ भोग लगाओ रसिया।
बोलिए श्याम रसिया की जय। श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की
जय।
जय।
Radhe Radhe everyone. Just a couple of announcements. First of all, so nice to see everyone here and thank you so much, Devi ji. Please know that Devi ji has graciously offered to speak one-on-one with anyone who'd like to speak with her or have any questions for her. If you would please do so before you proceed to the dining hall for dinner prasad, that would be much appreciated. Couple more announcements. In the gift shop on the table in the corner, we have Radhe Shamis and some books that are available. And lastly, for our amazing boat trip with Didi ji on Sunday afternoon, we do have a sign-up sheet and we're making the final deadline Friday. And this is a gift from ShyamaShyamDham to those who want to join us. There are about 20 slots left, so please sign up. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Please stand for Aartis. जयति जगद गुरु गुरुवर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गुरुवर नखमणि चंद्रिका प्रकाश जाके उर बसे ताके मोह तमनाश जाके मात नाथ तब हाथ करे मास साथे होए माया मोह सब ही निराश पावे गति मति रति राधा वर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की अरे मन मूढ़ छाड़ नारी नर हार गुरु बिनु ब्रह्म श्याम भुला देंगे साथ कोमल कृपालु बड़े कृपालु नाथ पाके इन्हें आज तू अनाथ हो सनाथ इन्हीं से आधी कृपा गिरिधर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की भक्ति योग रस अवतार अभिराम करे निगम समन्वय ललाम श्यामा श्याम नाम रूप दिया गुण धाम बांट रहे प्रेम निष्काम बिनु दाम हो रही सफल काया हरि हर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की कलिलाल लीला का सोना सुविलास छाया दिव्य दृष्टि विच प्रेम का प्रकाश वैसा ही विनोद वही मजु मृदुहास करे बस बड़ बस उच्च अट्टहास झूमी चले चाल वही नटवर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की जयति जगत गुरु गुरुवर की गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की गाओ गाओ मिले आरती रसिक वर की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की गुण सिर कनक मुकुट झलके गुण श्रुति कुंडल भल हल के गुण दृढ़ प्रेम सुधा झलके रसीले बैन रसीले नैन गसीले सैन गुण मैनन मनहारी की बनहारी नरहारी की आरती प्रीतम प्रीतम प्यारी की, बलहारी नटहारी की। धून दृग चितवरी परवारी, धून लट लट कनी छवि न्यारी, धून घोमट कनी अति प्यारी। रसन मुख पान हसन मुस्कान, दसन दम कान, धून बेसर छवि न्यारी की, बलहारी नटहारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की, बलहारी नटहारी की। एक उर पीतांबर फहरे, एक उर नीलांबर लहरे, धूल उर मोतिन छहरे। कंगन खनक कीनी झनक, नुपुरन भनक धुन 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 प्यारी की, बलहारी नटहारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की, बलहारी नटहारी की। एक सिर मोर मुकुट राजे, एक सिर चुनरी छवि छाजे, दूर सिर तिरछे हल भ्राजे। संग ब्रज बाल लाडली लाल, बाह गल लाल कृपालु धूल दृग चारी की, बलहारी नटहारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की, बलहारी नटहारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की, बलहारी नटहारी की। बोलिए रासेश्वरी राधा रानी की जय, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। बोलिए युगल सरकार की जय, जगत गुरुतम श्री कृपालु जी महाराज की जय। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे।